Welcome back, guys. My name is Adam. I have Rusmin.
Hi.
Victor.
Hi, everyone.
Thank you for joining us today. And we want to talk about this pretty exciting company that we found. And we want to share it with you as well. And we want to share why we think it's so exciting and its growth runway looks pretty interesting as well. Okay, so this company is none other than Novo Nordisk, or it's a Danish company listed in Denmark. And as of this recording, is the most valuable company in Europe right now.
It's bigger than the size of Denmark economy.
It's big, okay.
Yeah.
And it was named as the 2023 Yahoo Finance Company of the Year as well. If you take a look at its price charts, year to date it's grown about 19%, which is pretty incredible. I mean, it's only 2 months into the year, grown 19%. Over the last 1 year, 45% returns as well. And we want to find out why this company is doing so well, what's driving its growth, and whether you should have a look at it. All right, so maybe we should jump into Novo Nordisk's business model.
So this company has a long history of treating diabetes, and so they were the first company to actually invent insulin, right? So insulin is being used to treat people with diabetes. And in the past, without these inventions, when people are diagnosed with diabetes, it's almost like a death sentence, right? So it may lead to their organ failures, heart strokes and all that stuff, right? So, and of course, since then, the company has produced a lot of insulins which you actually inject in the body to treat this diabetes. And of course, there are two types of diabetes out there, right? Type 1 and type 2. Type 2 are usually more common among children, and Type 1 children, yes, and then type 2 are more common among adults, right? Because our body generally can no longer produce enough insulin, or sometimes maybe our bodies are rejecting it.
Resistant to insulin.
So this is the expertise of Novo Nordisk for almost 90 years, right? And of course, when a person diagnosed with diabetes, there are a range of treatment available, right? So first, of course, your first layer is diet and exercise, which is the most difficult part, right? And of course, once you are diagnosed with diabetes, of course, you can take oral medications. And recently, or rather, Novo Nordisk have actually invented this GLP-1. So this GLP-1 it's sort of like hormones that our body produce by our intestine to tell our mind that we are full. Right? You don't need to eat as much. All right, so that's the implication of having GLP-1 when you take this medication, or you have this medication or active ingredient injected in your body itself. Okay, so and because of that, you don't eat as much, and the side effect is that you might lead to weight loss, which is a benefit to a lot of people.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, and of course, it also kind of like slow down our digestive system, and you don't need to eat as much because you feel full most of the time, right? So this is the active ingredients called semaglutide, right, which is invented by Novo Nordisk, and it's been very popular, and it's been used now to treat type 2 diabetes, right? Because it reduces your appetite, and then it will cut down your sugar intake, right? So that is one of the best way to manage the blood sugar in your sugar level in the blood, right? So and so of course you have their most popular product at this stage, of course, is Ozempic, right? And this is their type 2 treatments for diabetes, and of course it also lead to weight loss effect. And then because of this popularity of this medicine, of course they recently have came out with this Wegovy, right? And this is purposely, which is they focus on weight loss treatment.
All right.
Yeah.
So it's because of the side effect of Ozempic, which was basically it suppresses your appetite.
Yeah.
You don't want to eat so much. You feel full, satiated more. It leads to basically weight loss.
Yes.
Based on what they found out. And then they specifically created GLP-1 medication, Wegovy, which is specifically targeted for weight loss.
Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Yes, and it has been approved by FDA.
FDA, right?
Yeah, and of course you have a lot of celebrity taking it. Elon Musk is one of them.
I think Elon Musk put it on Twitter or X. No, it's called X, right?
Yes.
But to put into more context, right? Before this Wegovy even come out, their diabetic business, right, is already market leader already. It's dominated by two large players, they are one of them, and their market share have increased all the way to 33.8%. It's still increasing.
So they're dominant in diabetes, and now there's this new market that they found, which is weight loss, which I think
using the similar drug,
GLP-1, semaglutide. which is a much bigger market.
Yep.
Yeah, and based on clinical studies on the people of number of people who take these injections, so far the people actually have lost an average weight of around 15 to 17%.
Wow.
Yep.
That's a lot.
I did a test. They say that I can lose about 10% of my weight if I eat the Wegovy.
Okay.
So
do you
basically,
need it?
I
You look fine.
Yeah. Basically, I don't need to exercise or diet. I will lose weight.
What is your weight right now?
Yeah. Huh?
What's your weight right
I
now?
don't need to say lah.
Okay, but basically, this week Wegovy has basically allowed people to kind of lose weight without diet or exercise, which is like a miracle drug, right?
Yes,
Because I think like 20 years ago when people were starting to gain weight, I mean, now you see a lot of, I mean, the US especially, you see a lot of, there's a obesity.
1 in 2.
Yeah. 1 in 2?
Yeah.
I think it was 40%.
41%.
Yeah, but I remember projected, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, more than 100 million.
Yeah, there's a lot of people.
America is obese. Yeah.
So I mean, there's a huge market. But back to my point, was that 20 years ago, I remember like if someone could just create a drug that if you just take that and you don't have to diet, you don't have to exercise, and you just lose weight. I mean, so many people would just
take my money.
Take my money. Basically, that's the meme, right?
Shut up and take my money.
Who want to diet and exercise?
I mean, I love to exercise, but I know some people just don't like to exercise.
Yeah.
I find it hard to actually eat well sometimes, eat clean, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think for a lot of people, if this is something that you can just take and just like that, you lose weight.
Yeah.
Oh, how many people will be interested in this?
Yeah. So the list price for Wegovy right now is about 1,003 for 28 days supply.
Okay, so that's not cheap.
It's not cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but of course, in the US, if you go to you get doctor prescribed to you, you might be able to claim
insurance and all that,
especially if you are diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, right?
Okay.
So, and the actual amount that you pay could be like 20-30% of that the list price, right?
Okay.
So that could be like $200-300 a month. Almost like your gym membership.
I mean, yeah, that's true, but still quite a bit of money.
Yeah,
and because it's covered by insurance, I mean, Novo Nordisk still earns quite a bit of that.
But because there's currently a shortage of Wegovy due to the supply constraint, and of course the list price is also a lot higher, people are opting for Ozempic, which is being used to treat diabetes. And but because they also contain the GLP-1, right, which has a similar side effect, weight loss, right, people are buying it because the list price is only like less than 1,000 for the same number of days supply, which is about close to a month.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and now of course that leads to a problem where there's also a shortage of people with type 2 diabetes who they need it for their treatment, but now it's being used for off-label use.
All right. So basically, there's this demand for these two drugs because they're similar. I believe I read about it. The active ingredient, which is semaglutide, is the same thing. Yeah. This is a higher dosage in Wegovy, which is for weight loss. But yeah, this is basically almost like a miracle drug. Where it helps you just lose weight, just like that.
it is a miracle drug.
Yeah, I mean, so just to clarify once again, it works by suppressing your appetite. Right? So you just don't eat less, and you want to eat less.
Just trick your brain that you're full.
You're full, right?
Yeah.
And I remember, because I was doing research on McDonald's, I think a few months ago as well. And if you take a look at McDonald's stock chart, around October last year, you see its stock just like coming down. And it was because of GLP-1 medication like that. Because, as you know, McDonald's, you want people to eat, right?
Yes, yeah.
So if you're taking this drug, you don't feel so hungry all the time. Then it's going to affect
fast food.
Even Walmart was affected by it as well, grocers as well. So I mean, McDonald's has got rebounded back, but at that point in time, if you take a look at the chart, it's basically this fall off because of GLP-1. It hit the news at that point in time. So it's this thing is huge, and I mean, if a lot of people can just kind of lose weight, without having to use surgery and stuff like that, it's a great option to have. So what is like the potential market for weight loss drug like that?
I think if you were to look into the US alone, which is one of their major markets, right? There's already, like just now we say, about 41.9% of the adults, not children, are obese.
I hope children are not obese.
Yeah, obese. Thing. So that means it's like more than 100 million American adults are obese.
Okay.
Right. So that is already very big. You're not even talking about the whole world yet.
Globally, I think there are about 700 million people who are obese.
Yeah.
And a large number of it, I think 90% are not treated.
Okay.
for this obesity. Yeah, so that could be a problem. That could be also a potential market for them to address.
Yeah, I mean, if you take a look at developed nations, as you get more rich, you just eat more rich. You gain weight. America is the prime example of this. I think Novo Nordisk's annual report is projected to have 1.5 billion people who are going to be obese by 2030.
Yep.
2035. Yeah, 2035. So these numbers are growing, and unless, I don't know, there's climate change and the food supply just disappears, people are just going to eat more, and it's going to be a problem. And this is the opportunity for companies like Novo Nordisk, which have a solution where you just kind of like take a drug and lose weight.
And of course you may ask whether there are any alternatives, right? So of course there are alternatives. You can do you can go to surgery, and then
diet, exercise
if you want to do that. Some people even inject, melt their fat.
Liposuction.
That
some
can
risk
be
for that too.
So those are many ways to do it, but for GLP-1, I think they are the only one that have these patents, and that patent should protect them until 2032.
Okay.
So no one else can have the similar molecules. I don't know, right? So how they actually invented, and they actually patented this. This will last for 20 years. So there should be enough runway for them to make it out. And of course, on the pipeline, they're also researching on the better medication. So that probably you have a bigger impact on the weight loss percentage. And of course their current medication, Wegovy and all that, they actually kind of shows that it also reduces the stroke, the risk of stroke.
I think that's the thing. If you eat less, a lot of your body just doesn't have to work so hard to process all that food. I mean, there's a study where basically if you eat less calories, you have a longer life. So I mean, that's a good thing anyway. You don't have to eat so much. But it's one of those things as well, which this drug could help do.
No, besides the diabetes and the obesity market, you do have the diabetes market, and the percentage of current penetration using GLP-1 as a treatment is only like at this stage is 6%.
Oh, so there's also a runway there.
Yes,
in the diabetes market.
Insulin is one of the treatment solution which they first started it, right? And now GLP-1 is like the most effective way that they have found, and now this is likely going to take over over time. And they're the only players in the market right now.
I think to put into financial perspective, like if you were to look at the revenue, the Ozempic was approved in 2017. The Wegovy was approved by FDA on June 2021. Right. So when 2017, right, the Ozempic was approved, right, the revenue was still growing around single digits, right? Until the Wegovy actually approved in June 2021. 2021 straight away you see their revenue actually go up by 10.9%. Then on 2022, right, it goes up by 25.7%, and 2023 went up by 31.3%.
So it's a huge growth driver.
Correct, because previously, right, they are actually just single-digit growth, and their business generally more recurring because they are diabetic.
You need to keep
taking the drugs, right?
Diabetes is a chronic disease.
So my suspicion is the growth is first pushed out by Wegovy. Second is like Rusmin said, people instead of getting the Wegovy, they're going to get the Ozempic, which we saw the prescription dosage went up, and these numbers go up and still because there's a supply constraint, they still cannot meet
there's a
the
demand for it.
They still can't meet the demand. So if you look in terms of the profits, right, the 2021 they went up about 13.3%, the 2022 16.3%, the 2023 is the one that the demand shot up very high, and their profit actually went up 50.7%.
It's almost like Nvidia that we discussed.
Almost like Nvidia,
right? There's supply constraint, but there's a demand of AIs, right? People want to buy AI chips, GPUs.
It's just that everybody's looking at Nvidia now. Nobody is looking at this. Right?
So I mean, let's jump into Nvidia. I'm not Nvidia. Novo Nordisk financials, because I mean we've talked about the business and its potential and weight loss and everything. I mean, I think everyone intuitively understands that weight loss is a huge market. If you can find a solution to that problem, you're gonna have takers. People are gonna buy stuff. So, what are the financials like for Novo Nordisk over the last 5 years?
I think, like I told you, the revenue and net profit is growing. Especially these 3 years, they are growing very, very fast. Their balance sheet wise, actually, their cash is about 30 billion. Their total debt, including is roughly about 20 over billion. So they are still cash slightly more than that.
Okay.
Right. But this company, right, if you look at their capital allocation behavior, they throughout the years, right, they have always using their free cash flow to do share buyback and giving dividends. So their dividend records are increasing, and their share counts are consistently reducing for the past 10 years.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So they do very, very good capital allocation for this company.
Yeah, if you look at the diabetes and obesity care, which they done it together, I think their operating margin they are getting at about 40 to 45% margin, and that is expected to go up with, especially with the huge volume that now.
Oh, it's expected to go.
Yep.
Yeah, that people are actually demanding more for this GLP-1 products.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you were to look into their return of capital employed, right, which the denominator is the denominator is actually the equity plus the debt, right? Their past 5 years average is about 50%.
Wow.
That means for every
Okay.
$1 put in, they make back 50 cents.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's their return of capital employed.
Yeah, I had a look at their financials as well because I was curious to know about. I mean, you can read all these things about, Wegovy and weight loss, and it's exciting. But you want to look at the numbers as well to see if that really tells you the performance matches up to that story.
Yeah.
And yeah, the numbers of the last 5 years are actually really consistent. Revenue has been growing every year, profits growing every year, and even the cash flow.
Yep.
Because you want to make sure that cash flow is at least matching or exceeds your profit, and the cash flow is very healthy as well, and low debt.
Yep.
And no huge amounts of debt and all that stuff. So it looks like a very well-run company. And then when you point out the capital allocation behavior, seems like they run a tight ship as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So in terms of financials, would you say they're
good?
Very good.
Very perfect. I look at this. Oh, this is a very good company.
Yeah, it's not every day that you see a company that has this sort of numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it's been you're looking at the last 5 years because of the growth of Ozempic and Wegovy, especially over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
But still, that set of numbers over that period of time looks fantastic.
Yeah, with a recurring revenue.
With recurring revenue, because it's something that you need to keep
if you don't eat, your weight will come back.
yeah, that's true. That's one of the side effects as well. Because if you stop the drug, the weight is expected to go back.
Yeah.
Unless you have a diet or exercise, you basically change your lifestyle.
Because you suppress your hunger for so long.
Yeah.
When you don't eat, you just start
going. Nothing's holding me back anymore.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it looks really, really good from a numbers perspective and from a qualitative perspective as well.
Yeah.
But what are the risks that someone looking at this? I mean, we've said a lot of good things about Novo Nordisk.
Yep.
What are the risks that you need to look
firstly,
out for?
it's a medicine business, right? A pharmaceutical drug business. So especially they have quite a big chunk of their business in the US, right?
Okay.
It's very common for class action lawsuit.
Oh, so if something goes wrong.
Yeah, if something goes wrong. Like like in Singapore, we used to have, I think many years they also say that this is a miracle drugs. I think it's called Slim 10 or something. Then in there, it really hurts the liver and all this.
Okay.
Right. So at this moment, it's FDA approved, but if anything happens, then they're going to go for a lawsuit, and there's a lot of compensation to do. Right.
I think this risk is quite low because it's FDA approved. Right?
Yeah.
Generally, if your benefits outweigh the disadvantages, usually that's how FDA actually approve, right? And if your solution is better than the current market out there. So I think the main concern that I have is that, of course, they are the first to invent this GLP-1, right? And what if someone come up with a newer medication?
That's better?
That's better.
Okay.
Less side effect.
With less side effect.
Okay.
You take once a year instead of once a week injection, right? So that could change the whole game. They could be the first. I mean, they have disrupted their own market, right, many times, and in fact they used to have this product called Saxo, which is also their target market for obesity, but then when they came out with this semaglutide, which is a GLP-1, the weight reduction is about 17% versus their older product, which is only 6 to 7%, or more than twice effectiveness. So and that product of course will get phased out, and then their new product will kick in.
So basically there's always potential of
for new
better drugs coming in and all that.
And also if their patent run out, then other people can just use the copy.
Okay, but that's some time away. But then it's something that you kind of know. There's the runway that you can see.
So Ozempic, I think in the US the patent will expire in 2032. In China it's about 2026. In Japan 2031. Okay, so I mean the big market is going to be your US market. So I think Wegovy, the US also is about 2032. So it's still pretty much, I think, 8 years of protection.
8 years, okay.
Because once the protection is over, The next 2 to 3 years, the next moment you have a generic drugs or product that will come out to the market, and that will erode the margin. So by then they need to come up with a new and better product.
Has the patent for Viagra ran out already?
I didn't check on that.
I'm just curious. I have no idea, because that was another miracle drug.
Oh yeah,
many years ago, right, when it first came out, and Pfizer made a lot of money from Viagra. Yeah.
I think you should have, because usually patent
only
lasts about 15 years. That's the max. To the day you register at the first.
Okay.
Not before you it was approved.
Okay.
That's called as the first day.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
usually I think about 20 years.
Okay. Yeah. Any other risks that we need to be aware of for Novo Nordisk?
I think the development of new medicine are usually very expensive, so there's a high barrier entry. I think based on research, they say it costs you at least 2 to 3 billion.
I mean, there's a barrier to entry which is a moat, but then it's also expensive because not every drug is going to be approved. There's a lot of risk in getting new drugs.
Yes.
Spending all the money and you don't know actually if that thing is actually going to work.
Yeah, and they are dumping a lot of money on R&D. You don't know whether they will be the next one they're going to invent the new medicine. So this is the kind of risk that you need to bear in mind if you are looking at Novo Nordisk. In fact, this applies to most of the pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, but I think they should continue spend money on R&D.
Yeah.
The day they don't spend money on R&D, that's the day their business will die. Right?
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I mean, I remember a story. Some people might actually bet on a company getting FDA approval for certain drugs, and that's a gamble because you don't know if that's going to happen.
Yes.
So you shouldn't approach Novo Nordisk from that perspective, where you expect this drug to get approved by FDA and then the stock price runs up and everything like that. Because some people gamble that way. You don't want to do that. So, but based on what is already out there, Novo Nordisk has already Wegovy that's approved, Ozempic is approved, and these 2 drugs are doing very, very well. That's why it's the number 1 company in Europe right now. And I think there is also they're seeking FDA approval for oral version of Wegovy. So instead of injections, which some people just don't want to take injections because it's just icky, right? Sometimes. But an oral option is a bit more palatable, and that could actually expand the market. Because now instead of injections, you say, just pop this pill, lose 15% of your weight. It's like, damn. I mean, if I'm 400 pounds,
take my money.
15% is a lot, it's a different thing. Some potential there. As well. So how would you value, a company like Novo Nordisk at this point in time?
I think the simplest is to look at the past 10 years PE chart, right? And to look at the average. But then, because the business have changed, right, for the past 3 years because of the drugs, so the PE actually re-rate upwards. If I'm not wrong, their average is about 27, right?
27, 28, there about.
Right. Yeah. So right now they are 40 plus 44, 45.
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
But then we cannot see using the old chart because the whole business have already been re-rated as a new business, right?
Okay.
So I think if I were to look at them, then I look at their return on capital employed. This company can generate 50+% on return on capital employed. Every $1 you get 50 cents, and you're having a PE about 44, and the drugs there's more demand than supply right now, and also more free cash flow going to come in, which because of these 2 drugs, and all those can use to give dividends and buy back shares, right? So I think at 44 it seems like it's not expensive.
It's not expensive.
Based on the runway they have right now, they may stay expensive for a long time because the next full year when they announce the full year result, earnings likely going to grow at least 20, 30, 40%, right? So those are the kind of growth rate that investors are pricing in right now. That's why it trades at 45 times PE.
Okay, but in your opinion, 45 times for a company, I mean, the growth rate is, especially for Wegovy, that the obesity market, it looks promising because it's growing really, really fast. And it's the second biggest segment at this point in time. I think it's about 50 billion in revenue. I think 50 billion kroner. I think it's in Danish kroners. So the growth rate is there. So if something is growing, like they say 50%, I don't know about this growth rate entirely. But if it's growing at 50%, for example, then a PE of 45 actually looks reasonable. Because of the PEG.
Even if it's growing at 40%, or maybe 30, 40, but it's consistent throughout the years. You are also you're paying a quite reasonable price.
Okay.
Right.
So this is how you would value it.
Yeah.
Based on the PE.
Yes.
And
yeah,
then
same for me.
simple.
Yeah.
Okay. In that way. Okay. So again, no recommendation to buy or sell this company. We're just sharing our research and the data that we found. It's really, really interesting because it's something that we're looking at ourselves, but really no recommendation. Please do your own due diligence, understand the risks that are involved as well. Yep.
Yeah, and of course this company is listed in
Denmark. Yeah. So this is a Danish company. So Novo Nordisk is a Danish company, is listed in Denmark on the Nasdaq Copenhagen. All right. So if you want to basically buy a share of Novo Nordisk, you basically need a broker that has access to the Nasdaq Copenhagen. And out of all the brokers in Singapore, I think only 3 brokers have access to the Nasdaq Copenhagen, and one of them is Saxo. So Saxo was founded in 1992. It was one of the first online trading platforms when it launched when it launched its trading platforms in 1998. Because you remember in the past, brokers were like, you call somebody and then you had to answer and all that. So they were one of the first to basically launch an online trading platform. So it made markets accessible for everyone. Okay, so Saxo has over 1 million clients and more than $100 billion in client assets. So it's an industry leader with over 70,000 global financial products with access to 50 exchanges worldwide, supporting over 20 currencies. And it's been in Singapore since 2006. So it's been around for a long time here as well. And it's licensed and regulated by the MAS. Okay, so I think the thing about Saxo is that recently they announced a new pricing structure, which makes everything a bit more attractive. It's a lot cheaper nowadays. So I think the pricing structure has gone as low as $1 per share for US stocks.
Wow.
Comparable to
to other brokers out there as well. So it's actually really, really cheap. And their currency conversion fees also go to 0.25% for currency conversions. So of course, when you trade in foreign stocks, you need to convert currencies as well. So that is very, very cheap. They don't have custody fees. They don't have platform fees as well. And in case of Novo Nordisk, you can basically purchase a share on Saxo with a minimum of just 10 Danish kroners, which is about $1.5, which is also very, very cheap. I think the other thing is some people also don't want to have everything in one broker.
Yep.
So if you want to look for a different broker to park your assets in as well, this is one rate.
Correct.
Really
for me,
example.
I have 2.
You have 2 brokerage accounts?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have many.
Yeah. I think I have 2 or 3 as well.
Yep.
And Saxo is one of them. Yeah, honestly. So if you're looking for an award-winning broker, with access to global markets like the US, Europe, Asia, and of course Denmark as well, you can consider Saxo. Okay, so it's absolutely free to open a brokerage account. Just go to the link in the description to sign up, and you can just open a brokerage account.
Yep.
Please note that our views on Novo Nordisk are not endorsed by Saxo and should not be constituted as financial or investment advice. And the message has not been reviewed by the Monetary Authority of Singapore. All right. So with that, we just wanted to share, all we've learned about Novo Nordisk and its potential.
Yeah. And again, we are just scratching the surface here. So before you make any decision to buy Novo Nordisk, we really encourage you to do a deep dive into this company because it has a long history in the market, right? So what we share, I think, is so far what we have read. Yeah, but there are many more things that you can actually find out more about this company.
Yeah, I think it's a great case study. I mean, if you're getting into investing and you're learning what is a great company, what checks all the boxes. I think Novo Nordisk is actually one of those companies that checks a lot of the boxes.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like great financials, great business model, economic
great
growth,
allocation,
good growth and everything. So good management because of the capital allocation and all that. Yeah.
And good owners because they are held by a foundation.
Okay.
It's one of the largest foundations in the world because the largest shareholder is actually the Novo Nordisk Foundation.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a non-profit entity actually.
Okay. So a lot of good things when it comes to the company. But again, please, no recommendation to buy or sell anything. Do your own research, do your own due diligence. And we just wanted to share with you about Saxo as well. So which is one of it's an award-winning broker that you can basically trade using Saxo for Novo Nordisk as well. All right. So with that, is there anything else you want to share, guys?
That's all.
All right. So my name is Adam. That is Rusman. Victor.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Any questions about Novo Nordisk, we're happy to discuss them with you in the comment section. And of course, like this video if you think we do a good job. And of course, subscribe to our channel. Many more roundtables coming up, and we'll see you again.